WhistlinDiesel is very well known for destroying very expensive cars, buying outrageous things like tanks and helicopters, and just building crazy things that are very expensive. But how does he even afford to do this while also paying his full team and getting some nice cars for himself? Well, that's what we'll be going over today, so let's get right into it. So the first and most obvious income stream is from ad revenue, and according to the NextLev tool, he has made about $175,000 in the last month from ad revenue alone. However, that wouldn't even cover a single video. Plus, in some of his videos, he uses mainstream music, which would either mean he makes nothing from that video or he has to share a big piece of the revenue. But he also does have a second channel he started posting more often on, and these videos are more relaxed and cost a lot less. So he definitely profits from these videos and they help out with covering some of the costs for the main channel. But on a whole, we can safely say that ad revenue isn't a major part of his income, and I would say it makes up less than 20% of the bigger picture and possibly even just 10%. Now, don't get me wrong, making over $200,000 a month from ad revenue is insane and puts him in the top 1%, but when you look at all of his expenses with him constantly needing to travel and with him purchasing and constantly repairing very expensive vehicles, it is clear that $200,000 isn't going to do a lot for him. This is why we have been seeing him doing more brand deals with the last 2 videos containing them, and these deals definitely pay out a lot more money per video when compared to the ad revenue. Now, we don't know the exact numbers, but if we look at the industry standard of $15 to $25 per 1,000 views, then he could be charging between $100,000 and $200,000 per video. If we look at the average views his videos get, these deals really help out with covering the cost of the videos, and when paired up with the ad revenue, some of these videos can actually be profitable. And with a lot of his expensive durability tests, he'll make it into a series with multiple videos all about the same vehicle, which is good since he can get revenue from all of those videos and they can cover the costs of buying the vehicle, doing repairs, and running the tests. But this isn't the case for everything, since we saw with the Ferrari how things ended up getting cut a little short and none of these videos had a sponsor either, so there is no way he could have made the money back from this. But he did make some of it back by selling pieces of the car. However, when you factor in all the costs and time required to box up the pieces, then you can see that it wouldn't have made a significant difference. He also did the same with the G-Wagon, so there definitely is some profit in it, but it is more to help make back the losses than to actually make money from it. So this is why it is really important for him to have other revenue sources, which is why he has his own clothing brand called Monster Max, which is named after his giant truck, which has been a pretty big part of the channel. He sells premium clothes made in America, so they are definitely on the pricey end, but this is good for him as he definitely makes money on these, and I would assume he has a good margin. Plus, he has a really loyal fan base that appreciates that these clothes are made in America, so he definitely gets a lot of sales, and you can see on the site that some of the items in the spring collection are already sold out. And he also does have another store for some cheaper stuff made in China for the viewers that can't afford the Monster Max clothing but still want to support him. And on this site, there are also pieces that are sold out, which indicates good sales, and I would personally say that he is making around mid 6 figures from the clothing brand on a monthly basis and maybe even low 7, but that would most likely only be around the holidays or something. The way I got to these numbers is just by seeing that he promotes the clothing on pretty much every video, meaning he advertises to millions of people regularly without having to spend a ton of money on ads or anything since he is using his own videos. And by judging other YouTubers around his size and their merch sales, I think mid 6 figures is a reasonable guess. Now that is just revenue, and profit would be about 30 to 40% after factoring in the cost of production and everything, but that is still fairly good for clothing because he doesn't have to spend a ton of money on marketing. So his clothing is the biggest source of revenue so far, and now we can see just how he actually can be profitable by making these videos. But there is still one more big source of income, and it is relatively new, with it being his premium alcohol brand called Alcoolo. He also promotes this in a lot of his videos videos, and it makes sense because his audience is on the older side when compared to other massive creators who generally target younger audiences. And their site looks very well made, and I assume the brand is doing fairly well by looking at all the marketing they are doing for it, and by also seeing how many stores have it available by plugging in various zip codes on their website. This shows how the brand is actually on shelves and it isn't fully reliant on the WhistlinDiesel brand. Plus, they also have their own merch, which definitely helps with some more revenue. But as for the numbers, it is really hard to put a guess on it since it seems like pretty much everything is done in stores and there isn't much online ordering. But I do think this brand has the potential to be doing 7 figures a month in the near future since it has been building up hype and a loyal fan base, and the retail success is pretty evident, and it could really become something massive and a lot bigger than the WhistlinDiesel channel. So we can see exactly how he is able to pay for the videos and all the production behind them while also being able to afford some nice things for himself. And we can also consider how he is smart when it comes to taxes, since a lot of the cars and stuff can be written off, meaning he gets to keep more of his profits as he can write off a lot of the expenses. Plus, he most likely has other private investments in the stock market or something which will be making him money in the long run as well. So overall, I would say he is making around 7 figures a month in revenue from everything we talked about, and his expenses are most likely in the high 6 figures and maybe even around 7 figures because he is working on multiple videos at a time, but I would definitely say he is still making a profit of maybe high 5 figures or low 6 figures every month. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments.